All these arguments that I hear the Deputy President talking about, that they are court cases, if there is goodwill, all those cases can be dealt with and the interests of the country can be attended to. But, there are very few Kenyans. Most politicians are not Kenyans. They see Kenya as a hunting ground. They are actually low-voltage ethnic warlords who are quick to be in outfits such as Mulembe, Gema, Luo. And that is why you see an individual in the 21st century. In a world we are talking about East African integration and African integration, you still have Gema. You still have somebody say, the Akamba have joined Gema. You still have the Luo saying that this is now the lake. You have the Abaluhia saying this is now the Mulembe nation. You have the Kalenjin saying this is ours. I wish they could read Koigi Wawa Mwere's Toward Genocide in Kenya, the Curse of Negative Ethnicity. Until we liberate ourselves from such chauvinism and atavism, this country is not going to realize our potential. And I hold the view, CT, that there is a generation of Kenyan politicians who, as long as they remain active in politics, Kenya will never know true progress. Unless we consign them to the Museum of History alongside the spinning wheel, we'll keep on having these musical chairs. And the sooner we realize that, the safer this country will be.
PLO Lumumba insists in this video that it is now high time to kick out a generation of Kenyan politicians who have held on to power for decades, an impediment to the progress of the country and a perpetuation of poverty. Entrenched in Kenya's political fabric since independence or the early post-independence years, such leaders have created networks of influence that prioritize personal gain over national development. The result has been the stagnation of ideas, with little room for innovation and progressive governance. According to Lumumba, retrogressive policies and a reluctance to adopt reforms are what continue to stifle the growth and prosperity of Kenya. Kenya is a country with great potential, endowed with natural resources, a vibrant workforce, and a strategic geographical location. However, decades of mismanagement by this aging political elite have resulted in widespread poverty, unemployment, and entrenched corruption. According to Lumumba, this enduring generation of leaders itself is bereft of any idealism or the drive to provide real solutions to new problems. Development just becomes a euphemism for consolidating power and maintaining a status quo that allows the few privileged citizens to thrive at the expense of the majority. One of the most important tools of divisive politics is used by these politicians in maintaining their hold on power. They have fragmented the nation by exploiting ethnic loyalties, polarized society along lines of identity politics where larger national issues are overtaken. The price of such a manipulative survival for them is terribly high: the loss of unity and retardation of development. The outspoken Lumumba stressed that with such leaders at the helm, Kenya was destined to continue facing the same challenges: disjointed policies that failed to deal with the root causes of poverty and inequality. A hallmark of these old politicians is systemic corruption, which has flourished under their watch. Public funds meant for development projects are frequently embezzled, leaving critical sectors like healthcare, education, and infrastructure underfunded. Scandals involving billions of shillings have eroded public trust in government institutions. Projects intended to uplift marginalized communities often become white elephants, abandoned after funds are misappropriated. This endemic corruption perpetuates poverty and deprives citizens of essential services needed for economic advancement. This paper takes the stand that unemployment among the youth remains a gross failure of Kenya's political leadership. Although the young people are the majority, this country's current crop of political elite has failed in implementing policies aimed at stimulating jobs or investing in those sectors that will harness their potentials. Instead, such leaders continue addressing structural challenges through short-term and populist measures meant to just amass votes without creating ultimate results. This has been manifested in the growing number of disillusioned youth who have been denied quality education, healthcare, or entrepreneurial opportunities. If meaningful reforms are not enacted, This cycle of unemployment and dependency will continue to hinder Kenya's development. Equally, infrastructural development in Kenya, while visible in the last couple of years, has equally been characterized by inefficiency and corruption. Most of the major projects involving roads, dams, and power plants are characterized by inflated costs, delays, or poor execution because of unscrupulous politicians who front kickbacks at the expense of quality and public good. Lumumba believes that a younger, more visionary leadership could execute these projects transparently and effectively, ensuring that their benefits reach ordinary citizens. But what Lumumba is doing goes beyond listing the failures of the old guard. It is a clarion call for generational change. He argues for the emergence of new leadership that captures the aspirations of a modern Kenya. Younger leaders, he believes, with their fresh ideas and commitment to progress, are more capable of addressing the challenges facing the nation. While experienced leaders still have a role to play as mentors, the infusion of youthful energy and vision is critical for revitalizing Kenya's governance and development trajectory. Citizens, Lumumba insists, hold the key to this transformation. While it is easy to blame politicians, the electorate must take responsibility for enabling their prolonged stay in power. Kenyans must begin to spurn the culture of handouts and demand accountability, transparency, and performance from their leaders. The electorate must interrogate the candidates on the basis of integrity and vision for the country, rather than tribal affiliation or empty promises. Informed choices at the ballot box can help break up patronage networks that keep corrupt leaders in office. Education and civic awareness are key in breaking the vicious circle of poverty and bad governance. Educated people, according to Lumumba, are less susceptible to propaganda or even divisive rhetoric. By investing in quality education and promoting critical thinking, Kenya will have better citizens who can hold leadership accountable and ask for more in terms of good governance. Besides, national dialogue is key in achieving consensus on the roadmap for economic reform, social justice, and constitutional changes that would reduce the grip of entrenched politicians. He knows it shall not be easy, since the transition will face resistance from old guards who have influence in the judiciary, security forces, and business. Reforms always face a lot of resistance, especially if they are certain to change the status quo, which has been the breadwinner for these kinds of leaders. In spite of all this, Lumumba calls on reformist citizens and leaders to be steadfast in their pursuit of change, since the struggle for a better Kenya is long-term. Despite all this, Lumumba remains hopeful in the future of Kenya, arguing that it has all it takes in resources, talent, and resilience to overcome its current struggles. The country will unlock its potential for development and emerge as a beacon of progress in Africa by embracing generational change and entrenching good governance. It is a clarion call from Lumumba to all Kenyans to look beyond the divisive politics of yesterday to a shared vision of a prosperous and equitable future.